Have you ever been on a bad date? What was your worst experience on the dating scene? Did it involve boring conversations and bad breath? Well, I can say that the women involved in this story have raised the bar and have gone an extra mile of what it really means of having a bad date. These women were scammed millions of dollars in the name of love. This is the story of the Tinder swindler. The man behind these scams goes by the name of Simon Leviev. Although this is the name majority of the people know him by, but his real name is Shimon Yehuda Hayut. Simon was born in Israel from a poor family and has always dreamt of being rich and living a lavish lifestyle. He didn't care how he was going to get there. All he wanted was to become wealthy, and this ambition was what made him get into fraud activities. He started at a very young age, where at one time he stole a checkbook from a home where he was working as a gardener and wrote himself a huge amount of cash. Another incident was when he was hired as a babysitter and decided to steal a blank check from the parents who hired him. When he realized that the police were on him, he fled his home country in 2011 to avoid fraud-related offenses he committed in his early 20s. Simon went to Finland, where he was eventually caught by the authorities for defrauding 3 women and was sentenced to 2 years in a Finnish prison in 2015. After his release from prison, Simon decided to return to Israel in 2017. But before he could be arrested again, he decided to flee to Europe for a second time and officially change his name to Simon Leviev. He changed to this name strategically because it would allow him to pretend to be the son of a diamond mogul, Lev Leviev, helping him build an image of a man who comes from great wealth and making it easier to defraud his victims. After successfully reaching Europe, Simon got back to business and continued his adventure of committing fraud. There were many victims, but only 3 women came out on Netflix and talked about their encounters with Simon. But we will focus on Cecile. Cecile met Simon on Tinder. Immediately after the match, Cecile Googled Simon. She found his social media accounts and went through his pictures and videos, and she fell for the bait. After several lavish dates, including one on a private jet, Simon asked Cecile to be his girlfriend and started referring to her as his future wife. Since Simon was so-called a busy guy, the relationship was long distance, conducted through texts and calls with occasional visits. One day Simon told Cecile that he was in danger. To back up his claims, he showed her a photo of his bodyguard looking bloody and beat up after an attack. A few days later, Simon asked Cecile to help him because he needed cash, and asked if Cecile could lend him her credit card temporarily for 2 weeks or so. He couldn't use his own because his enemies could trace him that way. Cecile, being the beautiful soul that she is, she didn't hesitate and sent over her credit card to Simon. No suspicion was raised to her because Simon had already portrayed to her that he is a billionaire. In the span of 1 month, she lent him nearly 100,000 USD. Every day now and then, Simon would come up with a new request, and each time he would max out Cecile's card, forcing her to take out a new loan. Long before she knew it, she had already lent him a grand total of 250,000 USD. The money Simon was taking out from Cecile was used to impress his new target from Tinder called Pernilla. Fast forward, Simon sent Cecile a check of 500,000 USD, and when Cecile will try to deposit the check will bounce. She called her bank to find out what was wrong with the check, and after the bank agents investigated the incident, they asked Cecile about her boyfriend and asked for a picture. And when they saw the picture, they informed her that she has been conned by Simon, who is known for doing such scams and leaving her in debt. Eventually, Simon was caught. How, you may ask? Well, Simon turned to one of his long-term girlfriends, Eileen, who he trusted. After some quick detective work, she found out that Simon was flying to Greece and gave his flight information to the authorities. He was arrested in 2019 and sentenced for 15 months in prison for fraud in Israel soon after. The Tinder swindler eventually got swindled. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. My name is Karim Chata, and see you on the next one.